Hey everyone, welcome back to the Road to 2000 series. This is episode 15. So, in the last few days, I've played 2 games of Rapid. The first one was like I had the black pieces and I played the Karat Khan. It was a super solid game. I won a pawn quite early and then just sort of, ground out the game. It was very high accuracy, solid game. Then I played another game this morning with the white pieces, and yeah, that's the one I'm going to show today. Um, this game was like completely different, very chaotic, different to the first one, very chaotic, very sharp. Yeah, and it wasn't like my best game, even though I did get the win in the end, but yeah, I kind of got away with this one. So, um, yeah, I definitely think like my strength as a chess player is that more kind of solid positional type play that I often get with the Caro Khan, I feel. But, so yeah, this one was a little bit different. So, yeah, let me get right into this one here. So yeah, I had the white pieces and I played e4. My opponent played the Sicilian c5. And what I do against the Sicilian, like I used to play just c3 straight away, which is the Alpen Sicilian. Now I get the knight out first. So I play knight f3. My opponent played a6. I play c3. They, strike in the center with d5, which is pretty common. I took on d5. They brought the queen out, and then I play d4. And this is kind of a standard setup for the Alpen. a6 looks a little bit odd to me, but I think it's you know, like a fine move that black can play in that position. The point of the Alpen is that like you give black the option of taking this pawn, and when we take back, it's true that we get an isolated pawn here, but often white gets some quick development, like knight c3 will hit the queen there. Yeah, so okay, my opponent played knight f6. They didn't take. I got the bishop to e3. Yeah, kind of threatening to take. I mean, maybe not immediately, because then trading queens and I have to take with a king, but just reinforcing this sort of pressure here and developing another piece. Yeah, and then my opponent played knight c6, and I I kind of felt that something was off here. You know, but basically what I was thinking to do was to play c4 because yeah, that would kick the queen back, and then we play d5, and yeah, I mean, getting that sort of pawn wedge in here like looked very strong. Often, you know, if you can get a pawn to d5 in the Alpen, it can be really dangerous for black because your queen like eyes off this check, on a4. So sometimes when you like, I've had games in the Alpen where you get a pawn to d5, the knight moves somewhere. I mean, it can't move there if they move the queen all the way back. And then you get in like a really devastating check here. In this case, it might not work. Like they might just have something like b5 or putting the bishop in the way. But generally, I feel like if I can get d5 in, it's normally like something good has happened for me. So I do play c4, and I suppose it like just taking space as well, gaining some tempos, like kicking the pieces around it seemed like a very good thing to do. My opponent dropped the queen back, and then I play, and then I do play d5. Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what I was thinking. Like I was wondering if like the knights, had to drop all the way back here to b8, you know, because the knight can't go there. That's covered by my knight. If it comes to d4, then I take and win a pawn, so that looks pretty good. If it comes to b4, I can maybe just kick it away. And yeah, if it goes to a5, what was I thinking there? Oh, of course. Also with this position, I was thinking I'd just win a pawn there. So like no matter where the knight drops back, this c4 d5 maneuver would win me the pawn. Yeah, that was my idea as well with this maneuver. But my opponent played this queen a5 check, which I have to admit I didn't see. So it came as a little bit of a surprise, even though, you know, I probably should be seeing like these sort of checks. I just, yeah, since I attacked the knight, I kind of assumed that the knight would move, and then obviously like a check is more, white has to respond to that more immediately, so that makes complete sense. Okay, but I drop back with the bishop to bishop d2. And when I played this move, so yeah, I thought about this for a minute, I suppose, and I thought that this is the serious blunder that Black's made, because if I drop back to bishop d2, bishop d2, then the queen's under attack and the knight's under attack. So I thought I was just winning a piece here. Black does have this resource, knight b4. And yeah, I mean, you can kind of see like it's getting a little sharp here. So I think this move as well, I spent ages on. Like a3 is the very natural looking move, but it's not actually threatening to capture the knight because my rook would be captured in that case. So immediately I thought of a3, but then I realized, you know, I couldn't actually capture the rook, the knight, because my rook would get captured. And then I thought after a3, bishop f5, I actually didn't know what to play there. Like I thought, you know, I thought that I was not doing so well. Like a3, bishop f5, you know, the threat is... yeah, I suppose there's no threat immediately, but I wasn't sure what to play in that situation, because if you play a knight move, like knight c3, to, you know, attack the knight, then the pawn is threatening to capture the knight because your rook is defended by the queen. Black can play like knight d3 in that case, check. So I'll show it. Like if you play a3, bishop f5, knight c3, you know, there's, it might not even be the best move, but there's knight d3 check, and after takes, I mean, this is what I was seeing. I'm not sure if these are all the best moves. I wasn't sure if there was like a knight move that I could make here that's useful to attack the queen. So yeah, I didn't see basically how I could kind of get my position unstuck, get this knight out while maintaining the pin. And while I originally thought that in this whole maneuver, like, you know, I was winning a piece here, I eventually decided like maybe black is just lucky here, and I don't have a combination that wins a piece. Like a3, bishop f5 didn't seem to work. It turns out that a3 is the correct move, and after bishop f5, there's two moves basically that maintain. There's two moves that lead to winning like substantial material, and they're kind of crazy. Like, well, the first one is, at least I think, like the one move is bishop e2, and it's basically arguing that I'll just show you the full first line. Bishop e2, e6, these are all the best moves. Then queen b3, bishop e7. We've got castles, and now we can take on b4, because after queen takes on a1, we have knight a3, which traps the queen. That's not the only winning line, but that was one line that was why bishop e2 was a good move. So yeah, it's like, this looks very good for white, but you need to be a bit patient to win this piece with bishop e2, at least. The other move that wins, which I feel, so I feel like that was a bit of a tough one to spot. The other move that wins is knight h4. And the idea behind knight h4 is to kick this bishop off this diagonal. This diagonal. The reason that's important is because if you were to kick this bishop off the diagonal, like for example, knight h4, bishop g4, f3, let's say either the bishop goes back to h5 or all the way back to e7, d7, it doesn't really matter. Now, after knight c3, this knight is trapped. So it can't go to any retreating squares, and the only squares that it could have gone to before relied on the bishop being on this diagonal. So that one I feel like I could have possibly, seen if I had better tactical vision here in this instance. But yeah, that's why a3 did work, because either after bishop f5, either bishop e2 or knight h4. I didn't see those two moves, so eventually I just played knight c3. We did get bishop f5, and yeah, like now black's threatening this check, which is pretty strong, so I think I have to play rook c1. What did we get? We got queen retreating. Knight takes on a2 apparently was good enough there. Although it's a little sharp, because after you take back with the knight, your queen's hanging, but of course the queen can take on a2. So yeah, it's a little, and I burnt a lot of time on that last move. Okay, but the queen retreats back. I play queen a4 check. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what I saw here. I thought that yeah, I'm blanking on what I saw here, but I thought there was some threat coming here. Let me think about it for a second. So queen a4 check. If the bishop blocks, maybe we've won a little bit of a mini battle, getting the bishop off this diagonal. If the knight blocks, yeah, maybe we just settle for a3 and let this trade happen. The knight jumping in here could be a threat long term. Can't remember exactly, but we go for queen a4 check. The knight blocks here. And now I play, and when the knight blocks, I did see this continuation, which was knight b5. Attacks the queen. If the pawn takes the knight, we take the rook. So also opens up an attack on the knight. So the queen drops back, and I thought I could take this dangerous knight, but I can't, because after bishop takes, there's pawn takes knight, and both my queen and bishop would be hanging in that line. So I kind of retreat back with my knight. Like, I come back to a3, which was not the best move. The best move was actually knight b to d4. The idea, I thought, I did actually see this move. I thought that after knight b to d4, Black can play check, takes, and my knight's hanging, so I have to move it. But actually, queen b3 is a good move in that scenario. That the point being that if you take, we take the bishop. Yeah, so it's bit sharp there for me. I instead go back to a3, just defending this. I thought this was a little bit in the way of my bishop trying to attack the knight. Go back to a3. Okay, bishop d3. If I take, I get my rook and king forked, so that's a pretty good move. I take the knight instead. My opponent takes the bishop. Take the bishop with the king. Bishop takes and queen takes. And once the dust is all settled, I'm up a pawn. I can't castle. I did see that black has e6 or e5 coming with a discovery on my queen, but I didn't think that was a problem because I could just move the queen. So yeah, I'm up a pawn. I'm up like 1.2 according to the engine. So, but yeah, I'm already down to 46 seconds because I was very sort of stressed and flustered in that opening, and there was a lot to calculate. And yeah, I basically have to play with less than a minute on the clock for the rest of the game. My opponent plays e5, which opens up an attack on my queen. I move my queen, f6, sort of solidifying in the center. I try to play some quick moves. g3, I want to play king g2 and get the other rook into the game somewhere. Bishop c5 I didn't think was a good move because I've got b4, and these pawns I want to start expanding. Bishop has to drop back. Yeah, I could play c5 now, but I suppose I play king g2 first. Knight comes in here. I bring the other rook. Castles, c5, knight drops back, and I drop back to knight c2, trying to get the knight to a better square. King moves. Knight comes to e3. E4 my opponent plays. I jump into d4. Knight to e5 and d6. And this is where I wanted to sort of pause and take a breath. I've been playing very quickly, trying to keep, I don't have a lot of time on the clock. But in this position, I'm like well up, like it's plus over 3, and it looks great for me. I mean, like these pawns just look so strong. I'm going to play a3 eventually, or even a4, and get this like beautiful pawn chain. This bishop is just out of the game. My knights have some nice squares to hop into. My rooks are like fully activated on exactly the files I want them to be on. But it just gets so tricky, this position. Like, I'll just keep going with what happens. I mean, I actually thought like after this game that I had played really badly, but it turns out that like a lot of the like lines and stuff were really sharp, and it was actually like tough to spot, I think, like with low time. So I'll give you guys an example coming up. So rook d8, again, I'm just trying to make quick moves. I don't know exactly where my knights belong, but I mean e7 looks quite good. Maybe knight d5 into knight c7. I want to be a bit patient with pushing all of these. I don't think I'm in a big rush. Okay, queen comes to e6. I play queen b3, not the best move, but I kind of want to trade queens. Queen goes back. I get the other knight in here. Queen d7. I nearly hang this knight. I remember with 17 seconds, I think I was looking at this move to hit the rook and to have a great outpost there, but that would have hung the knight on f5. So I move the knight back. We've got queen f7, which aligns with my queen. So I'm happy to trade queens. I jump the knight in, rook goes there, and we trade queens. And yeah, I mean, this just looks kind of unlosable at this stage. But yeah, I'll keep going. I play a3, everything's super solid. And this move b6 absolutely changes the game. And it's not surprising at all, because you need to get this bishop out and you need to start attacking the pawn chains. So basically, this is a pawn that you can take, the pawn on a6, and that's what I do. But I wasn't happy about it. Like, I thought that knight takes on a6, let's say takes, then I've got two defenders on this c5 pawn, and black's got two attackers. If black plays rook c6 at the end, so I'll show it here. Let's say I take here. We go takes, rook c6. That attacks my knight. If I move my knight, then I lose this pawn. And probably this pawn too, because this has got two attackers on it, and the c5 pawn was a key defender of the d6 pawn. So all of a sudden, I'm losing all my pawns, basically. It wasn't quite what happened in the game, but after b6, I took the pawn, takes, and my opponent played knight e5 instead of rook c6. So I didn't see how I could hang on to all these pawns. I thought, like, this move is coming next. Yeah, so I didn't really know. Maybe I shouldn't have. I think I went back with the knight, which is not a good move, which hangs the pawn. But I thought that I was going to lose the pawn anyway if black just played rook c6. Like, apparently in this position, knight f5 is the way to go. And after rook c6, we play, knight c7. And what happens if black just takes the pawn? Takes. There's knight e6 at the end there. Yeah. So there's some sharp lines coming up here. I mean, another line was the best move in this position is apparently knight d5. And what if black plays rook here? There's knight b to d4. Now we come back. No, sorry, knight d to b4. Okay, and that sort of stitches everything together with these two. It was tricky. Some of these moves I definitely didn't see. After knight e5, I dropped back with my knight. I lost this pawn. We traded rooks, and I played knight f5. My opponent played g6. I moved my knight back, and I lost my other pawn. So basically, in the last 6 to 8 moves, I've lost 3 pawns, and it turned out that b6, I don't know, it wasn't that hard to hold. It wasn't that easy to hold on to all of them. I think you had to kind of hold on to it all, like, tactically. Is the conclusion I had. Okay, but I've still got this outside a pawn. I play rook b1, then the rook comes here. Again, I'm playing moves, so that move I played with 5 seconds on the clock, so certainly not the best moves here. I play knight e to d5. Okay, f5, that pawn was under attack. I move the rook up. I'm not sure exactly what I was thinking there. Rook b3, and after rook a8, I'm losing another pawn. So I kind of collapse here. After that pawn break b6 that unleashed the dark squared bishop, I just didn't have the skill to hold that pawn chain altogether, and I lost all my pawns. So knight takes on a3, I move the rook up, bishop takes, we trade. Now I'm just down a pawn, black's slightly better. Okay, and I'll go through it a little bit here. So knight b5, my opponent's getting pretty low on time too, jumping the knight around. My idea that I saw here was extremely simple. I wanted to play rook b7, knight d5, knight f6, and checkmate. That was all I was looking at. That was what I wanted to play. I thought it was actually, I still thought that because my rook is so strong and this king's over there, I still thought that I had some chances to win this game. He played knight f3, I got the knight to d5, rook a1, threatening the rook coming in here. With low time on the clock, I think I saw rook g1, we can move the king here. Knight g5 check. Sorry, first it's my move. I play this, rook g1 check, king h3, we go check there, and black is looking extremely dangerous, but I'm threatening checkmate here. What I didn't see was that when the knight goes to g5 to give me a check, it also defends the h7 square. So, yeah, I needed to play here. I needed to play here h4. But that looks very dangerous, doesn't it? After h4 check, we come king h3. And yeah, rook h1. I suppose there's a perpetual there. So that could have been one way the game ended, but at least it stops the knight from this square, which is very important in preventing my own checkmating threats. Anyway, I didn't see that. Rook a1, I played knight f6, thinking I'm going to be the one checkmating him because I've got this square to escape to. Rook g1 check, king h3, knight g5 check. I move the king up here, and my opponent plays h6, and now I am completely stuffed. I don't know what move I can make exactly. The threat that black has is rook h1 and checkmate. That is checkmate. This pawn covers this square. So I don't know. I just had to make a move. I thought that maybe I could escape via g4, but I can't. I play rook e7. I think I just resigned that I was going to resign myself to a loss, basically, here. My opponent plays king h1. The only move I can make here, besides like random checks that give up a piece or just eventually give up a piece, is g4. So I play g4 and to create a square for my king here. And now all my opponent has to do is play f4 and the game is over. And it's pretty simple. Like you play f4, I can give random checks, but eventually I'm going to run out, and then black takes on h2 and I can't escape to this square. To my shock, black captured on h2 with the rook. I escape to g3 and I'm back in the game, basically. So my opponent gives a check, I move my king, they play here, takes, and knight g4. I probably should have just taken this pawn, but I thought that maybe I still have winning chances. Trading rooks is a disaster for me, so I move my rook. And even though I'm down 2 pawns, for some reason, so my opponent is actually lower on time than me now. And they played some of these moves. This move was played with 3 seconds. Then I moved there, then this move was played with 6 seconds. So I was sort of playing on their time a little bit here. For some reason, I still felt like I could win the game. I don't know why. I had a plan of going here, knight here, taking this. I don't know. Rook b7 is played. I get the knight there. They move the king. I give a check. King back. I play rook a6. My opponent plays h5, which is not a good move at all. It prevents this knight from being defended. Now this is a real threat. So I play knight e5. They move the rook down and they lose their knight. I play rook takes on g6. King moves, lose the knight. Play e3. And here, with what I calculated was, I can play this check. Rook takes on h3, check. King moves somewhere. Then I play rook f5, guarding the f2 square. And if they play e2 with the pawn, I've got knight f3, defending the promotion square. then slowly I can bring this rook and attack the pawn, and I thought that that was completely winning. So I went for it. I played rook takes on h5, they move the king, and then I play rook f5. And when I played this move, I realized that black has a draw here. They just have to take this pawn. Rook takes on f2 is a complete draw. Takes, I have to take back, takes, takes. And you can't checkmate with the knight. So when I played rook f5, I was like, okay, I missed that, but maybe it was a draw anyway, but I'm going to draw this game. My opponent then played e2. And what I'd calculated in the previous move, or couple of moves, now comes alive. I can play knight f3. I do play it, covering the promotion square. And my opponent brings their king. I play rook e5. Bring the king again. I play rook e3. Then they play king f5. And I was about to play the move rook takes on e2, a quite nice way to finish. Because after rook takes on e2, rook takes, there's knight d4 check. And wherever the king moves, you can take the rook. Sort of tactically win that pawn and trade rooks. But before I did that, my opponent resigned. And I won the game, and I'm officially 1900. So that was I was really happy to get 1900. Yeah, but it was a chaotic game. It was very crazy. I doubt it was a very good game. In my defense and looking at the analysis, some of the lines were quite sharp, especially in the opening. I think, all the way back where I could have played a3 and didn't quite see the continuation. I think it was a bit tricky. But, after I lost all these pawns, I was kind of shocked that my opponent did not play f4 here. I was really shocked that they didn't play f4, and I would have just lost the game there if they had played that. But I get away with one there. I definitely think, what the last two games have taught me is that I am definitely a better positional play. Like, I like games that are quite solid and slow, and you can sort of grind out positional advantages. Some of these sharp tactical games, like this one here, I definitely think I'm not as good at. So, I either need to start steering games towards positional, slow type games, which I think I do with black, like I play the Caro-Kann and stuff like that. But with white, I mean, maybe the Alpen is just too aggressive. I don't know. I mean, this sort of opening tussle, I wasted a lot of time and just couldn't see the way through. So, and then when these pawns came off, I mean, I'm going to have to look at, this move b6 really threw me. And, I'm not sure, I don't know. Maybe I just need to practice this sort of position, but, I just felt very tied up. And after taking, takes, I still takes, rook c6, knight b4, rook takes on c5. This is +5 for white with the best move. So it's funny that you can give up a couple of pawns here and maybe even, I don't know, lose the third one. But it be a very strong position. But the way I did it, I lost 3 pawns and I don't know, I didn't have anything there. This was not a great move just to get kicked away, but really, really tough sort of moment there where I lost all those pawns. And then as the game progressed, my opponent missed a checkmate. I sort of played on their time scramble a bit and won the game, won the knight, and then won the game eventually. So anyway, that was my last 2 games. this video is probably going to be a bit of a longer one, but yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Let me know what you thought of that game, if it was, if you spotted any of those sort of tactics, or, you know, whether you like playing like positional type games or sharp games. Yeah, and yeah, but thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time.